OK, we're going to start, though, with reaction to Gareth Southgate's England squad for Euro 2024, which has left us with no end of talking points. I'm delighted to say that Michael Dawson joins me now to go through them all. Good to see you, Michael. Hope you're well. What are your overall thoughts, then?
Good afternoon, Vicky. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Yeah, I mean, look, Gareth's had some big decisions to make. I mean, you look in the defensive side with Harry Maguire being out. That was a position where we all thought he was going to be fit, myself included. And if he was, he would have been in the squad. That can be the only reason why he's not there, because he's never let England down. I mean, the big one you probably look at is Jack Grealish. 12 months ago, we were talking about how good a season he'd had for Manchester City. And now we're 12 months on. It's not the season we probably expected. However, I'm a little bit surprised at this, the experience that Jack has in and around the camp and what he can do on that left-hand side for England. You even see when he came on against Bosnia early on in the week, he's got that little bit of flair, he's got the guile, he's got the calmness, he's been in and around this, and I think you look at that England squad at this moment in time, it's very inexperienced. So that's probably the only one I look at. I mean, the James Maddison one, I mean, James came out and spoke about it very openly yesterday, and being the Spurs man, watching them all the time, he hasn't hit the form that we all expected, certainly in the latter stages of the season. Early on, he was magnificent before he picked that injury up. So I could see that one, but the Jack one surprises him. But let's not take anything away from those players that have been included. They deserve it because we've got some really attacking flair players. And I think for us to be successful and go on and win this tournament, we have to take the games to teams because, in my opinion, our strength is in the attacking lineup.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Half of this squad didn't play at the World Cup in Qatar. 9 of the outfield players have less than 10 caps. You've alluded to that, lack of experience potentially. This isn't what we're used to, is it, from a Gareth Southgate squad? Why do you think he's gone down this different route?
I mean, look, he's been forced in some of his hands. I mean, you look in the left-back position, that's what concerns me. I mean, could he have took Mitchell? Could he took Ben Chilwell? Because Luke Shaw hasn't played for a long time. And to be going into a Euro Championship with not playing, how is he going to recover? And without an Kieran Trippier there, who's going to play, he's got the experience. He's never let England down. And for me, he will start in that position, in the middle of the park. Mainu coming in. Adam Wharton, who I think has been absolutely unbelievable since he went to Crystal Palace. And you talk about moves going from the Championship, and Crystal Palace was certainly the right choice for him. Yeah, it certainly was.
Look, in terms of, tournament experience, Merce talks about that all the time. You need it almost, especially in these big tournaments. Do you think Southgate has taken a bit of a gamble here?
Yeah, I think he has. But sometimes you have to do that as a manager. I just hope he takes a gamble and plays with 6 attackers, certainly in the early stages, the group stages, because as I've said, you see with Bosnia, they come and sit behind the ball, and how do we break them down? Get 6 attacking players on. Defensively, that's not where blessed, in my opinion. I think we're blessed in attacking areas, and we can hurt the opposition. Experience is key. Look, I went to a World Cup in 2010 and then never kicked the ball, and the nerves and everything surrounding a big tournament, the whole nation. We're fans. We want to get behind it. You talk about coming home, bringing it home. The pressure will be on these players. I just look at the way they come out. They do the media. They go and express themselves. The younger generation seems to be a little bit different with society and all these kind of things. They've just got to go and express themselves. I seen Eze coming in the other night, and I'm a huge fan of him. For me, he has to start because he's got that little bit of magic. He can drive past players. If teams sit deep, sometimes it's hard to find them little passes in behind. If you've got the quality to take on a player, which he certainly has.
Yeah, and let's talk about the changes then. You mentioned Harry Maguire. Southgate talks about this calf injury being complicated. Were you surprised that he isn't even on the plane just as a backup? Because defence potentially is a big worry right now, you'd have to say.
Well, there's only one reason he's not there, and that has to be because he's of that injury, because his experience and I've been a huge fan of Harry Maguire. Yes, I know him personally. I played with him at Hull City. But he's never let England down. He's come under scrutiny. Some of it unfair in my opinion. But if he was fit, 100% he would have been on that plane. And in my opinion, it would have been him and John Stones. No discussion, no argument who it would have been. Those two would have been the starting two if Harry had been fit. but clearly he isn't.
Yeah, and interestingly, no place for Jared Branthwaite as well, and he has had an epic season, you'd have to say, for Everton. Jamie Carragher said he was England's present and future. Would you have taken him?
I mean, look, you talk about playing on the left. Matt Gay has to go. You see him playing there for Crystal Palace on the left side, and for me, he will start the opening game. We'll see a little bit more tonight. Him and John Stones, if John Stones is fit, because I'm a huge fan. But Jared Branthwaite, I mean, he's been absolutely brilliant for Everton. But this is a next level up. You look where Everton and what they've been striving for and fighting for. It's a bottom end of the Premier League. This is international. This is the European Championships. I mean, you look at Lewis Dunk, you look at Joe Gomez, Konza. There's an argument for him to be in there, but he hasn't got. He got his debut against Bosnia, so Gareth's had to make these decisions, and he's going to be an England international player for many, many years. And I think after this, you look at the older players. Maybe will he go down the new route? But I think to go so inexperienced in a big tournament, it's very brave of Gareth.
Yeah, it does seem a brave new era, doesn't it, from Saka? It's something we haven't seen before, really. And he has got Adam Wharton, who a lot of people were calling for him to be there, and quite rightly, you'd have to say. But that's probably come at James Maddison's cost. You mentioned Maddison before, you know, the fact that he lost form at the wrong time for Tottenham. You'd have to say he's paid for that.
Yeah, he has, and Wharton and Maddison are different players. You know, you see James Maddison in the 10. You've got Cole Palmer who can play there. Foden can play there. Eze can come in off the left and play there. But I think Adam Wharton, when he came on the other night against Bosnia, I just think he's been brilliant since he's gone to Crystal Palace. And for £20 million from Blackburn, I watched him an awful lot in the Championship. And I always liked what he did. He got on the half turn. He looked to play forward whenever he can and break those lines. And you know, he won't go and play in the 10. I don't see him starting in the holding position. It'll be Declan Rice. But if he does come on, like we saw the other night, if teams are sitting deep and we can't seem to find them passes, he's there to be brought on. And I'm a big fan of him. And I love seeing players that have come through the ranks. I love players that have had the opportunity in the Championship and then take the step up to the Premier League. And I look at Crystal Palace and recruitment that they've done. You talk about Gay, you talk about Eze, you talk about Elise, you talk about Adam Wharton. They bring players from the Championship and make them into Premier League. And this lad is going to be a real superstar. The way he's took to the Premier League in such a short space, I think it was 27 games he's appeared in for Crystal Palace. And now to be in the England squad, going to the Euros, he must have to pinch himself at time. But the way he came on against Bosnia and just took the game and gets on the ball, he certainly doesn't lack any confidence. When I watch him, he plays with a freedom. And this is how the younger generation of players seems to be. They never look to be stressed. They just go out there and express themselves. However, this is big pressure because we all expect England to win this tournament, or I certainly do, because we are blessed with attacking players. I keep saying it, Vic. I really do. I just hope we do go all out attack.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there are a lot of people thinking that this is England's time. It has to be now. Let's not go into that. It puts too much pressure on them. Look, we have heard about the conversations. And look, you've been involved in this before because, of course, you had that very interesting experience, didn't you, before the 2010 World Cup in the provisional squad, out of the final 23, then back in as an injury replacement. How do these conversations go as a player with the manager?
Yeah, it's interesting that Gareth showed his hand before the final game. And I found that a little bit interesting because what happens if a player then goes and gets an injury tonight, which can happen. Whenever you cross that white line, you can get injured. So for him to show his hand so early on, but I think you listen to his press conferences from a week, 10 days ago, he's always going to be open with the players. And I think that's the way Gareth's always worked. But from my point of view, it was a 30-man squad and it was cut down to 23 after a couple of games. We left the camp and I got a call off Fabio Capello and saying I wasn't going to be in the camp. You know, it's never an easy conversation to have, but you have to accept it. You're a player, and sometimes you sort of get an inkling. It's probably the one where it's more of a shock, and you become a fan. Of course, we are. Everyone loves a country. You love bringing the three lines on your chest. And I just said good luck. But 48 hours later, I got a call, and Rio had picked a knee injury up, and I was on the next plane to South Africa. The whole nation devastated that Rio wasn't going to be there, but it was certainly an amazing experience from my point of view, and the Dawson family was certainly happy.
Yeah, I know they were. Look, the starting forward line looks pretty settled, you'd imagine, Saka, Kane and Foden. But none of the other 6 listed as forwards were at the last World Cup. So talk us through the options and how do you think it's going to work? Who's going to get that game time, do you think?
Well, this is the debate. I've been open here, say all-out attack. If we're playing a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, I'd like to see Foden in the 10, Bellingham and Rice, and Ezra off the left, Saka off the right, and Kane through the middle, which is pretty simple in my opinion. The only thing is then you're going to be 6 out-and-out attackers. Whether Conor Gallagher will come in, which I do seem to think. You look in the Euros when it was Calvin Phillips and Rice as the 2 holding. But I would just get all 6 players attacking, and people say, yeah, but what are you going to do defensive? Declan Rice is arguably the best holding midfielder out there. You can put Rodri into that equation, and people will have that debate. But let's not kid ourselves. I was watching Manchester City against Spurs the other week, and Phil Foden ends up in the left back position. These guys understand the game. If Bellingham goes forward, Foden can sit back. Ezra tucks in. They rotate. These players aren't mannequins. They don't stay out wide. They don't come inside all the time. They rotate. And I just think, for me, go all-out attack. I don't see Gareth doing that. I really, really don't. I see it probably being Conor Gallagher. But there's times when teams that are going to sit in a low block, how do we break them down, get as many attacking players on the pitch? If you've got your Kyle Walker at the back, no one can run past him. They're just a pace and the strength. So all-out attack for me.
Yeah, I would agree with you. But what do I know? Look, Southgate made the call very early, didn't he? Back when the 33 was announced, no Marcus Rashford. Where do you stand on the debate between club form and international reputation? Because like you say, Harry Maguire's never let England down. So what about Rashford then?
Well, I think one thing we can say with Gareth, he's always been very, very loyal. And Marcus will be probably the first to say he hasn't set this season alight. 12 months ago, we were talking about him being world class and one of the best. And he's just fallen out of form. He will have understood that when that call came and he wasn't going to be in the squad. And it's a hard job for Gareth. People will have this debate going, oh, he's too loyal, he sticks with the players. We're taking players that are in form. That is as clear as day. And you look at Cole Palmer, I didn't even mention him in that. Gordon, Bowen, the list goes on. These players are in form, but they have to take that form from club level into international level. And it's a different kettle of fish. Marcus has got the experience. We saw him in the FA Cup final, but I don't think Marcus did enough, in my opinion, to be on the plane.
OK, fair enough. They're in action tonight, of course, for the final time before they head to Germany, Iceland at Wembley. Which players do you think are going to benefit most from tonight?
I think the fringe players. There's no Lewis Dunk. You'll see Mark Gahey again. Is he going to show his hand and go, this is the team that's going to start against Serbia? You would think the majority will want to play, get minutes under the belt. They'll have had a little bit of a break. So he might still be looking. He might not have his starting 11 decided. A lot can happen between now and a week on Sunday. But I'm looking forward tonight because against Bosnia, it was trial and error. I think giving people minutes, debutants getting an opportunity. Tonight, in my opinion, you're starting to show your hand a little bit more. OK, we've asked you to give us your starting 11 for Serbia, the opening game for England. Talk us through it then. Who have you gone for? I went for Pickford in goal. I think that picks it himself. Pardon the pun. But I just think he's been brilliant for England for many, many years. Kyle Walker, the best right back out there still at his age. I'm a huge fan. John Stones, unfortunately, hasn't had an awful lot of game time, played in the cup final for Manchester City, but I'm a huge fan. Our best centre-back. Mark Gahey, his 10th cap against Bosnia, got fit at the right time, missing the latter stage of Crystal Palace. And Kieran Trippier, the experience, tried and trusted, never let England down, playing right back, left back. I think that's an area that is a concern, though, because if Trippier gets injured, we're sure, obviously not playing for a long time. And this is where I talked about getting the 6 really attacking players in there, and you put Phil Foden in the 3, he can go into the 10, and it'd be Rice and Bellingham. And people say, yeah, you leave yourself a little bit exposed. Yes, but the run back, Declan Rice holds, Bellingham can attack, Foden can sit back and get on the ball. Saka, brilliant for Arsenal. Kane, for me, one of the best centre forwards out there. And Ezra, I think, is going into the Euros full of form, and I think we saw it early on in the week for England. And I just hope he can go and express himself. Very, very attacking, but I think why sit back and wait and on the counter attack? Take the game to them, and I'm sure we can blow teams away. And it can be hard at times because, as I talked about earlier, Vicky, the low block is hard. But that is my starting 11, and I'm sure there'll be lots of debate out there.
I know, I'm thinking no Cole Palmer in that starting 11 then.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 11 players can be out there, and Cole Palmer's been absolutely magnificent. He's been up there with Phil Foden. Phil Foden was my player of the season. He was mind-blowing at times. But Cole Palmer was second in that because what he did for Chelsea in his first year. But I think he'll be a big impact player. Could I put him instead of Eze? Yes. But then Eze likes to stay a little bit wider and can come in onto his right foot. That was the reason I picked that team. But I'm sure Palmer and Gordon will be time in this tournament that they'll be required. And even Bowen coming in for Saka at times, you would certainly think. Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins, I mean, the list goes on. It's when there's changes might be forced. And Gareth has to make big decisions. This is what he gets paid for, and let's hope it's coming on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I was looking at your back four as well. You know, Joe Gomez perhaps could have been in there maybe instead of Mark Gay, I don't know. But you've put Gay to partner Stones. They've only played together for England. The last time I think was a 4-0 defeat to Hungary. So just talk us through how difficult it is to build a defensive partnership in a tournament. It is.
I think you have relationships. Your left-hand side works very closely to your left back and the midfielder, and your right side centre half. You very rarely have anything to do with your right back if you play left side. So Dunk, I think there obviously he's missing for tonight, can come in with his experience and play on the left hand side. We see what he does for Brighton. He touched on Gomez at left back, which he could be called on at some time. So it's going to be interesting. But that's a back four that I think he will go for, certainly against Serbia on June the 16th.
It's interesting, isn't it? A lot of people are saying, you know, because we've got the attacking players, so if they can be really bold, then, you know, Gareth doesn't need to worry so much about the defence. But you've said it almost 3 times. You don't think Southgate is going to be as attacking as perhaps everyone kind of wants with this team that he's got.
No, I think he'll take one of the attackers out and probably go Conor Gallagher, because that's where we've generally seen Gareth set up, and I'm a big fan of Conor Gallagher in the latter stages against the so-called bigger teams. Conor might be required, but I just think early on in the group stages where we have to take the game to teams, the oppositions, and win the football match very, very comfortably, I would go with that team, and that's the reason I picked it. But Conor Gallagher, I'm sure, will have a huge part to play if England are going to be successful in this tournament. All right, finally, it's a 2-in-1 question. Prediction then, who wins Euro 2024, or is it just a 1-in-1 question? Because how far did England get? Do they win it? I hope so, and I think we've got a huge, huge chance. Gareth will have to deal with that expectation because every England fan out there, myself included, we've always dreamt. But I just think this young crop of talent is mind-blowing. It really, really is, and that's why I say go all-out attack. I mean, to win a tournament, you have to be lucky. I mean, when we lost the last Euros to Italy, a spot kick and people criticise the way he plays. There's times in the game games where you're going to suffer. We will suffer as a team sometime in this competition. You have to ride your luck, and when you are in that, can we take it? But I certainly believe we have every opportunity to win this tournament. France, Germany, Portugal, Spain, Italy, the Netherlands for me are an outside team. But Vic, I am very confident we can bring it home. Come on, England. Come on, England. All right, I'm with you on that. Thank you, as always. Good to see you. You as well.